Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. It's Den Day. I got my wig on. I got my colors on. I'm super excited for today. We are going to try to get our house shirts so you can see them. We're not going to pass them out until our next Den meeting, but I am going to try to get them so I can at least show them around and so you can see what they're going to look like. So I'm super excited for that. And today's manner. Today's manner is actually a really, really easy one as long as you just do it. It's really easy. And it doesn't matter if it's your fault. It doesn't matter if it's somebody else's fault. Anytime you bump into somebody, notice what I just said. Anytime you bump into somebody, it doesn't matter where you're at, what was going on, what was happening, your fault, their fault. Anytime you get bumped into or you bump into somebody else, you say, excuse me. And you just look at them and say, oops, excuse me. Or I'm sorry, excuse me. It's really easy. Anytime you feel a bump, a little nudge, whatever the case, you just say, excuse me. I've done this at the Metro when I'm trying to get into rodeos or other events and somebody bumps into me or I bump into somebody else. I turn to say, oops, I'm sorry, excuse me. Or you just look to them and say, oops, excuse me. And other times I might even say, oh, my fault, sorry about that. Instead of necessarily saying, excuse me, just say, I'm sorry. It just helps people understand that, number one, you were aware that either they bumped into you or you bumped into them. And hey, it's no big deal. We're all just trying to get in somewhere, or we're all just running around doing this thing or playing this game, whatever the case, and we're going to bump into each other. It just happens. In class, when your teacher says, all right, 10 seconds to get this put away and get out this, whatever it might be, right? They might say, okay, let's get your marker put back in your pencil box, and then I need you up here to the rug in 10, 9, 8, and boy, kids start to scramble and go really fast, right? You may bump into somebody. You shouldn't, because our transitions should be quick, quiet, and orderly, right? There's that orderly piece. Excuse me. Oh, see that? I just covered my mouth when I did a little throat clear and cough. That was the other day's manner. But if you're trying to hustle and do something like that quickly in your classroom and do it orderly, there may be times you bump into somebody. And so you just say, excuse me. So very quickly, how many of you have ever been to the Metro, been somewhere like that where it was crowded, or a situation like I just said, where you're in your classroom and you're trying to transition quickly and you've bumped into somebody? Raise your hand if you've bumped into somebody or somebody else has bumped into you, whether that was last year or this year. Put your hand up high so we can see you. Everybody looks around, okay? You see those kids? Okay, so it happens, right? So you just got to say, excuse me, and you move on, because it's really no big deal. Now, if you bump somebody hard, that is a big deal, right? It should be slight. It should be barely a bump. But again, sometimes if you're playing a game in PE, or you're out on the playground and you're running and looking behind you and not looking for somebody else, you might run into them hard. And then you really got to be careful. You need to stop the game. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And then you got to help them make sure that they're okay. That is different than just a bump, right? So there's different ways you have to react. But the bumping into somebody, bumping them with a shoulder, or maybe you're trying to squeeze by and their arm actually hits you in the tummy, or things like that, or maybe that gets you in the arm as you're trying to get by really quickly. Oops, excuse me, sorry, and keep going about your business, right? Try to make a little quick eye contact too, because that helps. All right? Use the manner. It's a big one. It's an easy one. You just have to use that awareness piece and know what's going on around you and how your actions impact everybody else. Because then everybody keeps a smile on their face. And that's what we want, is people to be happy. So have a good day. We'll talk to you soon. Den Day.